Supporters. Well, we're going to talk more about Caitlin Clark's absence and the impact this is felt. That's being felt around the league, and even in Indiana. It's going to be a big impact.
You know, things get spicy when one player is carrying the entire WNBA like it's a broken refrigerator up a fifth-floor walk-up. Caitlin Clark has basically become the league. She's the main character, the plot twist, and the only reason half the country knows the WNBA still exists. The TV ratings? Let's just say if ESPN could physically hug a human being, it'd be clinging to Caitlin like a koala on espresso.
What I'm interested in is what somebody tweeted me and asked about earlier today that I want to show you right now. Put this tweet up, please, so our audience can see it here. At 4th Gen Bucci, B-U-C-C-I, right? Stephen A. Smith. Can the WNBA keep itself afloat while CC, as in Caitlin Clark, is out? End quote.
We're talking record-breaking, eyebrow-raising, executives-popping, champagne TV numbers. The kind of viewership the WNBA probably thought was extinct. Suddenly, people who hadn't seen a women's basketball game since Lisa Leslie dunked are tuning in like it's the NBA Finals. You could hear remote controls nationwide getting arthritis from how often they're flipping to watch Caitlin. And yet, here comes the WNBA, treating her like she's just another jersey in the locker room. If Caitlin's presence is pure gold, the WNBA brass is over here trying to trade it in for expired Chuck E. Cheese tokens.
To be here with you guys today, the ratings are out. Indiana Fever versus the New York Liberty, Caitlin Clark's most recent game on cable TV. And on top of that, the WNBA, desperate to sell tickets to tonight's
Let's be real. The WNBA didn't even roll out the red carpet. They rolled out a yoga mat and said, make do. Flights and economy, a schedule that makes coal miners wince, and treatment that's one cardigan short of elderly neglect. Caitlin Clark isn't just outperforming expectations, she's doing it while being side-eyed by jealous teammates and getting shoulder-checked by players acting like it's WrestleMania. If this is how the league treats its one cash cow, imagine what it does for everyone else. And now she's injured, and the silence, it's suddenly deafening.
Nor am I going to take my eyes off of what transpires with the WNBA over the next 2 weeks while Caitlin Clark is out with the quad strain. And the reason why is because, let me tell you something right now. I'm not going to go to word hate. I'm not going to be out there like RG3 was saying that Angel Reese hates Caitlin Clark or other players hate Caitlin Clark. But I will say this. I don't think it's specific about Caitlin Clark. I think it's what Caitlin Clark represents. See, it's through no fault of Caitlin Clark. Caitlin Clark balls. She balled at Iowa in college. She's balled since she's been in the NBA. She came into the league last year with no break whatsoever between the college game and the pro game and did her thing. Ended up as an all-star, ended up being 4th in the league in MVP voting, was the clear winner for Rookie of the Year. No competition whatsoever in that regard when it was really all said and done. We know what she brings to the table.
Caitlin Clark has just been ruled out for the next 2 weeks, and ticket sales are already down 75%. So if you didn't know, Caitlin Clark injured her hamstring and is out for the next 2 weeks, including 2 road games. One of those games being against the Chicago Sky and Angel Reese, where they have a very heated rivalry. Just 2 days ago, the cheapest ticket to get into the Chicago Sky versus Indiana Fever game was $86, and now it's down to $25. This is also against the same person who said the reason people come to watch the WNBA is because of her talking about Angel Reese, but she cannot even keep the ticket prices up. The teams that Caitlin Clark was supposed to play against over these next 2 weeks also already rented out a bigger stadium because of how many people they were expecting to have show up to see Caitlin Clark play. And because the WNBA is only about 40 games, she is missing a huge chunk of time with being out 2 weeks in June.
You could practically hear the panic setting in at WNBA headquarters. One sprained ankle and everyone's scrambling like they just dropped a baby in a swimming pool. Because here's the thing, the league doesn't just miss her highlights, it misses relevance. Without Caitlin, it's back to gymnasiums echoing like church halls and attendance numbers so low you could hear players' thoughts. And make no mistake, it wasn't just about the play, it was about the drama, the buzz, the excitement. Without her, the WNBA is once again trying to sell water in a rainstorm.
Oh boy, WNBA fans, y'all are screwed. Look at that. Caitlin Clark is out 2 weeks. 2 weeks. Do you know how bad the WNBA ratings are going to be for the next 2 weeks? Nobody watches the WNBA at all if it's not for Caitlin Clark in the first place. Now that she is hurt, who in the world is going to watch these games? Who in the world is going to watch a WNBA game without the biggest star the sport has seen ever? Like, this is going to be hilarious the next couple of weeks when these ABC stations, TNT, ESPN, see how bad the ratings are when Caitlin Clark isn't playing. And then all the players are going to see, oh, wow, we actually need Caitlin Clark to play in these games for us to try to make money.
Meanwhile, social media is in full mourning mode. The comment sections look like memorials. People aren't just sad, they're angry because they knew this was going to happen. You run a player into the ground, schedule back-to-back games like it's a punishment, and then act surprised when she goes down? Caitlin's been treated like a one-woman circus act, expected to perform miracles while everyone else folds their arms and pretends she's just lucky to be there. Spoiler alert, the only thing lucky about Caitlin Clark is that she hasn't completely carried the rim off the backboard from overuse. Let's talk numbers, because that's where the real roasting begins. Caitlin's games have outperformed every other matchup this season by laughable margins. When she plays, the lights are brighter, the crowd louder, the sponsors happier, and the popcorn 30% saltier. When she doesn't, the drop-off is so dramatic, it's basically a cliff dive. Television ratings without Caitlin look like a broken EKG. Flat, lifeless, and kind of embarrassing. Even the fans admit it. No Caitlin, no click. That's not just influence, that's domination.
Caitlin Clark effect is real. Caitlin Clark effect is alive and well, but unfortunately for the WNBA, she's now out for a minimum of 2 weeks before she gets reevaluated. So they might not see numbers like this for quite some time. This next Indiana Fever versus Chicago Sky game, June 7th, I believe, that's going to be on CBS as well. You think that's going to draw 2.7? I can assure you it won't. You think that's going to draw over 2 million? I can assure you that won't.
So what does the WNBA do in return? Throws her to the wolves. And by wolves, we mean defenders with the subtlety and grace of a demolition crew on a caffeine bender. Caitlin Clark, the league's biggest draw in years, gets tossed into the lion's den with a target on her back and a neon sign that reads, "Please foul me," repeatedly. Her minutes have been stretched thinner than cheap spandex, as if overplaying a rookie in the most physical league imaginable is somehow a growth strategy. Protection on the court? That's cute. The refs are practically handing out coupons for one free hard foul. And now that she's hurt, the league is pulling the classic shrug and pivot, scanning the room desperately for the next headline generator. Spoiler alert, there isn't one. Because the moment Caitlin hit the floor, clutching her injury, the momentum that had been building like a freight train suddenly slammed into a concrete wall. The energy, the excitement, the ratings buzz, all of it evaporated in an instant. The WNBA gambled on her star power without protecting the investment. Now, they're finding out the hard way. You don't build a league by breaking your brightest star.
We need her to play for us to get views, so maybe we should stop hurting her. Oh, maybe they'll finally see that they need Caitlin Clark. I mean, I can't believe we even have to discuss this, that she's even, if you don't think she's the biggest star in the sport, you're delusional. This girl carries not only her team, but her sport and her league. She carries the league, and you're going to find out.
Now, talking about the Indiana Fever, if you thought they didn't feel Caitlin's absence immediately, you are completely mistaken. Their latest game against the Washington Mystics was a painful spectacle, like watching a chicken trying to operate a jet ski. Confused, chaotic, and not even close to winning any awards. The Fever dropped that 183-77, and you could almost taste the desperation hanging thick in the air. The players looked like they were waiting for Caitlin to suddenly pop out of a Gatorade cooler and pull off a miracle save. Spoiler alert, no such luck. The Fever without Caitlin is like a pizza without cheese. Sure, it's still technically pizza, but it's also profoundly disappointing. The offense crawled along slower than dial-up internet in the age of fiber optics. The defense? More absent than a sitcom dad who forgot to show up. Shots were missed like they were allergic to the basket itself. The rhythm was totally off, spacing was tragic, and the energy? Picture trying to power a roller coaster with a single AA battery. Just not going to cut it. It's a harsh reminder that sometimes one player can truly make or break the entire team.
I just had the miserable task of watching the Indiana Fever play basketball without Caitlin Clark. There were a whole lot of things wrong with this game on the basketball side of things. Obviously, the Indiana Fever's interior defense was horrible. If you watched this game, you saw them give up, I think, over 50 points in the paint. Aaliyah Boston looked like a cone down there. It was literally horrible to watch. I haven't seen a team play that bad interior defense in a long time. They were not even trying. It's like Caitlin Clark wasn't playing out there, and they decided, you know what, since Caitlin Clark isn't playing, we're not even going to try. We know we're going to lose. It was horrible to watch. This is a game you could have won against the youngest team in the league. You're playing against a bunch of rookies out there. This was a winnable game for the Indiana Fever. This team, mind you, with Caitlin Clark, literally lost by 2 to the New York Liberty, which is the championship team last year. And without Caitlin Clark, you look trash out there. And it's not even that they look trash. They are boring to watch.
Absolutely. Everyone gave it their all, but let's get real. This game had a Caitlyn-sized void that no amount of hustle or grit could fill. You can't just replace that kind of presence with sheer effort alone. No one on the Fever drew defenders like she does, forcing the opposition to constantly adjust and scramble. No one created those clutch opportunities that turned the tide when things looked bleak. And most importantly, no one ignited that intangible spark, the hey, maybe we can pull this off vibe that keeps a team believing deep into the fourth quarter. Instead, the team looked like it was running on empty, desperately trying to fill the Caitlyn-shaped hole with a collective "we got this" that came off more like a pleading whisper than a battle cry. It was a team performance that practically screamed, "Please come back," louder than a rom-com ex holding a boombox outside your window. Desperate, hopeful, and painfully obvious. Meanwhile, the Mystics came out smelling blood and didn't just win, they absolutely feasted. Watching them was like witnessing a school of piranhas stumble upon a lone vulnerable fish. This Fever team without Caitlin.
The fourth quarter in almost every game that they've played. They play hard. They're selfless. They move the ball. They cut hard. They play well together. And, they kept coming at us. And, at times we had breakdowns on the defensive end, our coverages. Their physicality, I felt like on their defensive end against us took us out of our flow, particularly in the second half.
Obviously, you guys need to adjust without Caitlin, too. Is there anything you could pinpoint with the offensive issues?
Yeah, I mean, certainly, not having any points in transition, is one that's obvious. I mean, Caitlin is really good at finding rim runners, getting the ball up the floor. That's one. We got to be better there. Not relying so heavily on dribble handoffs and on-ball screens. And I know we talked about this pregame.
They smelled weakness, and they capitalized on it with ruthless efficiency. They pushed the pace mercilessly, attacked every mismatch, and basically treated the Fever like a practice squad, running drills and running up the score in their own head. The scoreboard showed a somewhat respectable 83-77, but that number barely told the story. The game itself was more of a demolition job disguised in a close scoreline. The Mystics were always a step ahead, moving like they had seen every play before it even happened. The Fever? They looked like students desperately trying to catch up in a pop quiz with the answers already written on the board. It was painfully clear. Without Caitlin, this Fever team was incomplete. They lacked the creative force, the defensive anchor, and the inspirational heart that she brings. And while they battled hard, the Mystics' hunger was a brutal reminder that sometimes a missing piece can turn a fight into a surrender, no matter how much you want to believe otherwise.
Just embarrassing. This was an embarrassing game. Stephanie White, down 12 points with 6 seconds to go, just called a timeout. She just called a timeout. This was a absolute embarrassment. An embarrassing performance from the Indiana Fever.
And now that she's injured, both the team and the league are stuck in a bizarre mix of denial and regret. You can almost hear the boardroom meetings now. Maybe we should have let her take a few breathers. Maybe scheduling 10 games in 14 days was not a genius idea. Maybe players are, human. But hindsight's a real snarky friend, isn't it? Here's the kicker. Even while injured, Caitlin Clark is still dominating headlines. She's not even on the court, and she's still outshining every active player. The fans are tweeting, the media's salivating, and the whole sports world is refreshing their feeds for injury updates. Meanwhile, other players are over here struggling to trend on TikTok. It's the Caitlin effect. Undeniable, unreplicable, and currently sitting on the bench with ice on her leg. The league thought it could ride the wave without respecting the ocean. Turns out, when the tide goes out, you're just a bunch of stranded beach chairs. The Fever thought they could develop as a unit while their best player held the whole playbook together with duct tape and prayer. And now everyone's realizing just how much they relied on the very person they failed to support.
Great to be here with you guys today. The Indiana Fever lose to a young Washington Mystics team, 83-77. Look lost without Caitlin Clark.
If this doesn't serve as a giant wake-up call to the WNBA, then they're napping harder than Sleeping Beauty on Ambien, with noise-canceling headphones and blackout curtains. Treat your stars like stars, or prepare to watch your ratings vanish faster than your last nationally televised game's viewership. Caitlin Clark isn't just another player on the roster. She's the player. She didn't walk into the league quietly. She cannonballed in, splashing attention, headlines, and a brand new audience, all over a league that desperately needed it. She put the WNBA back on the map, now the map's blank again, and somehow everyone's acting surprised. The league has been handed a once-in-a-generation opportunity on a platinum platter, and they're managing it with the enthusiasm of someone who just got jury duty. So go ahead, WNBA, keep pretending she's just another rookie. Keep trotting out the tired lines about team balance and shared spotlight. But here's a spoiler. You can't hide a supernova behind a desk lamp. And if Caitlin Clark doesn't come back soon, mentally, emotionally, or physically, you're going to be left with empty arenas, confused sponsors, and fans wondering why they bothered to tune in at all.
So, the Indiana Fever did not look good without Caitlin Clark. I guess that would be an understatement. Look, I mean, it's not that surprising to see the drop-off for the Fever without Clark. This Caitlin Clark effect, if you will. Because so often what's talked about is her impact on interest or economics, but all of that is based on her abilities as a basketball player.
And if you're one of the haters who spent time loudly insisting that Caitlin Clark was overrated, well, congratulations are in order. You're about to experience the sweet, humbling sting of being proven gloriously wrong. Because the very second she stepped off that court, it wasn't just noticeable, it was seismic. The energy vanished, the ratings dipped, and the buzz? Gone. It's like watching a movie without the lead actor. Technically still running, but no one's paying attention anymore. Clark didn't just bring her game, she brought the spotlight, the fans, and the pulse that made the league feel alive. Now, the WNBA looks like a before and after ad for what happens when you subtract star power from a sport still fighting for mainstream attention. It's not a diss to the rest of the league. It's a testament to just how much Caitlin Clark changed the game. She didn't just join the WNBA, she resuscitated it. And now that she's momentarily gone, the contrast is impossible to ignore. So go ahead and keep calling her overrated. Just know you're doing it while sitting in a silent room where all the excitement is left with her.